What's up, everybody? So we're back on the shop with another Shop Talk Tuesday, and one of the things that I like about the Shop Talk Tuesday episodes is I can either do a build or I can talk. I can do all of those different things on this because on Saturdays we have a whole entire blade that we forge out and do things like that, and I finish them kind of throughout the different videos and stuff like that, but sometimes I like to take a moment and actually talk about a few things, and that's what I want to do in this episode. Now, the cool thing is, everybody who's still watching are the people who actually watch these Shop Talk Tuesdays. The people that just skipped past this video because I didn't instantly start making a knife, well, it's okay. All y'all are still here right now. Y'all want to learn something. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about today was kind of progressing through being a knife maker. Now, it's not one of those things where you might think that it is a to Z type process. A lot of the times it's A, B, C, B, A, B, C, D, C, B, C, H, back to B, back to H, because a lot of the times when you're doing this, it's not linear. You'll be doing something and you'll be making things and progressing through it, but then you figure out that one skill got kind of, lazy a little bit or something like that, and you start slacking on one thing. Some of that stuff happens because as we get bigger and better tools, we rely on the tools more, and then if that tool messes up, you either go back to having to refigure out how you were doing step B and C, because you're so used to not having to do that personally because there's a tool that helps you, that you either pause the project altogether because you're not going back to doing what B and C was. You need to fix the tool. Once you fix the tool, then you'll progress through it. But sometimes you really need to focus on the whole entire thing. You need to be able to do all of the different steps as you go so that you're not just letting certain skills fall off. And one of the reasons why I do so many projects during the Saturday builds and all that stuff, and I mean, let's just be real here, okay? We've got buoys, big old buoys that we've forged, all the way to Quakens, where we're having to make sure that we're able to forge two bevels into here and keep everything even, all the way to doing a spear thing that we've never forged before. It's one of those things where, me personally, I want to do a lot of this stuff. Some people ask me, why do you still hand sand? You could do belt finishes for everything. You could finish a handle completely by pretty much belt finishes and then just do a little bit of hand sanding. You can do your belt progression all the way up to 800 grit on your 2x72 and do like no hand sanding. Why do you do hand sanding? Well, I still want to be able to do a lot of the different processes and not rely on my tools to do everything for me. I have a power hammer, okay? Do y'all see me use that in a lot of the videos? No. Do I use it in my shop? Absolutely. I use a lot off camera to break stock down. If I've got a whole bunch of bar stock that's a little bit too big, I'll take and I'll forge it down to smaller bar stock for other knife builds and stuff like that. But it's one of those things where I like forging by hand, even though I have a power hammer. I want to keep the practice in play. I want to actually do those motions because that's what helps me progress. Are you going to develop slightly different than me? Most likely. This is just something that I want to do in the way that I like to do it. As I get bigger and better tools, I want to still make sure that I'm honing the other skills in that process. There's a lot of processes within knife making, especially whenever you get to like the top tier levels. There are people who make the knives that they win shows with and all that stuff. They win all the awards. Some of those knives take like a month plus to make within all the different projects that they're working on and just all the little fine-tuned things. Now, of course, they can take a month to make that knife because they're probably going to sell between $5,000 and $7,000. so they can take the time and do whatever they're going to do. My knives don't sell for $5 to $7, so I'm not exactly in that boat. But for me, I want to progress as I do this, but still hone the other skills. Some of that comes into play whenever you are, again, developing your shop, getting more and more stuff, and you want to be an expert on that new tool that you just got, so you do that primarily. It's still good to go back and do some of the other techniques, just here and there. That works for me because I get to hone my forging skills every single Saturday that we do a live stream, and during the week I can work on the power hammer and do things like that, but I always get to hone that forging skill and get better and better and better and better at it by doing it by hand. It's the same thing with my 2x72. They make all kinds of different jigs. They make all kinds of different things that you can do to make your life easier on that. I prefer to freehand it. I like developing that skill, and I develop more skills as I'm doing that because I'm not relying on something to make it easier on me. Now, the 2x72 does make it slightly easier for things like profiling. One of the things that I did on like this blade right here, this is the one that we forged during the last weekend's live stream. It's got a swedge on the top, all that stuff. I did all of the profiling and all the cleanup on this with files by hand. So all of the modifications, doing the swedge on the top, cleaning up the spine, the belly, inside this little finger choil area, guard area, the edge, all of that. I did all of that with files. And could I just use my 2x72 to do a lot of it? Sure. But I wanted to do some file work because it's just one of those things where you keep developing things, and how can you file it and make it cleaner, and how can you control what your files are doing and which files do what, which ways do files cut, what things can you do to make it better. It's just, I want to keep developing my skill as I go through within all the steps of it. It just makes me a better knife maker. Am I an amazing knife maker? No, I don't think that I'm the best knife maker. I don't think I'm an amazing knife maker. I think I'm an above average knife maker, but I'm just really creative. And a lot of the stuff that is really creative that I make makes it seem like I'm better than I am at knife making. But with forging, am I really good at forging? Yes, I'm really good at forging. I can say that because, well, I've had people who are experts in the field tell me that I'm really good at it. That I'm confident in. I can forge pretty much anything that I want to forge. But am I someone who is doing like the craziest forge to finish builds out there? No, I'm not. I'm just, am I above average? Sure. But there are so many people that make knives out there that just do things that blow my mind. And whenever I look at them, I go, yeah, no, y'all are the experts in this field. And even whenever it comes to them, a lot of them are super humble, and they'll tell you, I'm just an above average knife maker. And you're sitting there going, no, you're the person that we call the expert in this. Even us knife makers who've been doing this for a while, who have a big following, who people learn from, we still learn from y'all. So if the above average knife makers are learning from you, you're better than an above average knife maker. But for me, I want to keep the progress going, and I always advocate for that, because just because you have big fancy tools doesn't mean that that's all you are. We've had people who, in competitions and different things like that, who have a tool that messes up and it completely stops their build. Completely. Rather than pivoting and doing a different type of technique that they've learned, that one thing messes up and it's over. That project is done until they fix the tool. I don't want to be like that in my knife making career. I want to be able to pivot to a different technique that I've kept honing as I've done this, so that I don't have to have those pauses or those stopping points. I just want to keep going. And that's what I want to have people understand, that they can do that. You don't have to rely on all of your tools. You are an amazing tool. Okay? I'm not calling all y'all tools, but I am. In a good way. It's one of those things where there are so many things that you can learn throughout the process, and I want you to try them all, and I want you to actually get good at as many of them as possible, so that you don't have to rely on other things. You can just rely on yourself. And then, whenever you have the other things, they're just a perk, a benefit. It's something that you can use to make things a little bit easier on you, but you still have the skills in your back pocket. Okay? That's something that I really wanted to talk about, because I've seen this on a few different other builders and things like that, that whenever something messes up, it just stops them. And they just can't push past it because they don't have that one thing. And there are several different ways to skin a cat within knife making. So don't just make yourself follow one path. You know, if you're going back and forth, you're jumping back over your A, B, C, and then back to A, and then up to H, and then back to B and C, it's okay. Just keep doing that, because you're going to keep honing the skills the entire time you're doing it. Hopefully this was helpful. If it was, let me know in the comment section down below. It's something I wanted to talk about for a little while, and I figured this was the perfect time to actually go ahead and do that. Now, we are going to be working on a few different builds in the other videos. I do want to finish this. I've already started filming this right here. All I need to do is, of course, bevels, and then do the actual inlay that's going to be inside here. Figure that out, because I've never done that before. How I'm going to do my pins, what size pins to go with, things like that. But that's going to be a cool build. And then we are going to be working on this, where we're going to be filing in dragon scales and doing all kinds of stuff. With that, it's going to be a fun process. And I am getting another job, so we're going to see how all of this stuff comes into play with me having another job and still doing knife making. So this will be fun. Stay around for the process of all of this. Guys, y'all have an amazing day, okay? Y'all stay safe out there, and I'll catch y'all next time.